Welcome to the Redacted Apostate. My name is Nicole.
And I'm Carl.
Today we're going to talk about online Discord cults.
Yeah. And normally we try to find something funny about a cult or cult leader. There's nothing funny about this other than the kid's name. He has a funny name, but past that, there's nothing funny. This is actually really scary and dangerous.
Very dangerous, and can infiltrate into a family before you even know it. Within a couple of weeks, a child could be harmed from these cults.
Yeah.
What happened was last week, several articles came across my computer, almost like boom, boom, boom. And the first one was this Bradley Chance Cadenhead from Texas.
Sorry, he's got a funny name.
Little shit. He was just convicted in federal court for 80 years in prison.
Damn.
80 years for coercive control, violence on a Discord cult.
Yeah.
And I think some child sex abuse also. I think he is part of that. And another thing, too, is in this discussion, we might get demonetized because we're just going to say the words.
We're pretty much assuming and we're accepting that this won't be monetized. So
because it's important to talk about the kind of abuse that is happening in this Discord and how they're using manipulation. And they're especially this Cadenhead kid and probably some of the other groups, they're using the same methods that Keith Raniere from Nexium used.
Oh, wow.
Like play by play. In fact, they even articulated and put it in a document how to manipulate, similar to Andrew Tate, how Andrew Tate said how to manipulate women and how to get them to work for him.
Saying the quiet part out loud, basically.
Exactly. Cadenhead kid and his group, they did play-by-play how to manipulate people, where to find the people that were vulnerable, and then how to manipulate.
So what is the Discord server? What is in this Discord server?
I don't really know.
That it's alleged that, because from what I read was that there were videos of, so there's two groups as well. There was another individual too that was arrested recently.
Oh, right. That was my train of thought. Like he was arrested and then he was convicted for 80 years in the last couple of weeks. And then someone on the cults subreddit posted, something's happened to me and I don't understand what it is on a Discord server. And then that discussion happened. And then the last couple of days, another girl that was part of this Discord server was just arrested for bomb threats in Vermont.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is the same Discord group as the one that I'm referring to. So this one, the one that I'm referring to is definitely an offshoot. It was the same group that was part of the 762, I believe was the name of that Discord server, was 762.
764.
764 network.
2 digits off.
Yeah. So the 766 group, the 764 group, part of their leadership, I guess, they started another Discord group where they were showing child sex abuse videos to everybody in the group. They were showing people committing suicide. And the whole idea, what this person said was that they're trying to desensitize the individuals so that they could be used later for violence against others.
Wow.
So he was creating like these almost zombie soldier people. He's a neo-Nazi. So there are ties to neo-Nazism. So it's a neo-Nazi Discord cult with
these horrible things that
child sex trafficking, child abuse as well.
Right. So what they're doing is they're finding children on Minecraft and Roblox and disenfranchised children, and they're luring them onto their Discord server. They're saying, hey, come to my Discord server. We accept you. We love you or whatever. And then they're exposing them to these horrible things.
Right.
And then they're abusing them by making them create the content. And how Caden had finally got caught was they had done this to a young girl, and they told them that she needed to commit suicide on stream.
Right.
And the mother stepped in and found it, and then they arrested him. But if you go to the FBI's public service announcement from last year in September, they call them violent online groups. And these are Discord 676, Discord 764, we just talked about, CVLT, Court, Cascar, Harm Nation, Leak Society, H3II.
Yeah. And then this one wasn't even in that group, this newest one. There was another one too that I think they just found and arrested him.
And Discord, for those who may not know, is like, how would you describe Discord? It's a place where you can communicate with people. It's part of the gaming culture.
Yeah.
And
so that's the way it started. It was replacement for TeamSpeak. So in games, typically you don't have a VoIP or voice over IP kind of solution. So you can't talk to the people that you're playing with. Or if you can, it's really clunky and it sounds terrible. So the original idea is that you would get on there, you would join these channels, and then you could talk to the people that you're playing with. That's kind of the short of it. And then they kept expanding and expanding and expanding to where you could share pictures, videos, share your screen, share your camera. And it's now this huge multimedia kind of platform so that you can share all of this different kind of content.
And I think most kids today are on Discord.
Yeah.
Like I mean, both of our kids are on Discord.
Mm-hmm. And both of us are on it too.
And we're on Discord, and it's just ubiquitous at this point.
Right.
And it's easy for groups to isolate themselves and not be under the Discord overarching, because it's hard for Discord to monitor all of these groups, because there's got to be millions at this point of Discord groups.
Yeah, and
all over the world.
Yeah, and I feel that Discord is kind of behind on the technology, because we know that there is a lot of this kind of content that could be automated for hate speech, or if you're telling someone you should go kill yourself. That's a very common kind of thread that could easily be found by a bot or something like that. The reason why Discord is used, and Discord has also been used by terrorist organizations as well, is that Discord doesn't really look into what you're doing much.
Which is dangerous. So the FBI says that the groups target minors between the ages of 8 and 17, especially LGBTQ youth, racial minorities, and those who struggle with a variety of mental health issues, such as depression and suicidal ideation. So they are specifically targeting young kids. Can you imagine a 9-year-old who is struggling with their sexuality being reached out? They're so vulnerable, and they don't know. They don't know that they think that someone's reaching out to them to help them, and they're getting sucked up into these groups, and they're already in a fragile state.
And they're using society's one of the big problems with our society is that we look down upon individuals that are different. Gay kids, they get kicked out of their houses, and so they're afraid to talk. These kids are afraid to say who they are because they've been told that this is wrong. So when they go to groups like this, they're going to hear people that are like, yeah, tell us everything. Tell us all of your stuff. It's okay. This is a safe place. And then they're using that against them.
Right. So they're love bombing them. And that's the Keith Raniere, right? That's Keith Raniere. They're love bombing them, telling them they're accepted, hearing all their secrets, and then using that against them, telling them they're going to dox them, reveal their secrets to their families. And then they end up doing more and more acts, like to the point where this girl is calling in bomb threats to random organizations that don't make any sense.
Right. And if we were more accepting of disenfranchised individuals, this would take a lot of the power away from these people. I don't want to say would stop it, because it wouldn't stop it. Because even if we accepted everything, you still get guilt and shame.
Well, and the thing is between those ages, 8 and 17, even older than 17, you don't know your place. I mean, I got this random text from our teenage daughter in the middle of the night that asked me this question: do I have mood swings? And I'm like, okay, as soon as you wake up, find me. Like, we need to talk first thing in the morning. Because she had been taking some online thing that said she had identity disorder.
She also has said she has ADHD. She also said she's bipolar. She also
she takes these quizzes and then she's like, I have this thing.
Yeah, and we're like, no.
So to sit her down and say, listen, you're a teenager. It's okay to explore who you are. This is the age for it. Explore your dress, explore your hair color, explore your interests, explore
your sexuality.
Explore those things, because that's what this time period in your life is about. So your personality is going to change because it's developing at this.
And you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
The trick is that one of the ideas that we have tried to get across to our daughter is that we are there for you when you make mistakes, and you are going to make them.
And then we had the conversation. If anyone tells you that they're going to expose you for some video you accidentally created, say, okay, do it. Like, we can handle it. We'll get the authorities involved. Like, don't allow someone. But even if you haven't had that conversation, even though we've had that conversation with her, I could see any child falling into the victim of these type of groups.
And that's why I wanted to be very clear, is that I don't think that a change in your behavior as a parent is going to make much of a difference for or against these kind of groups.
I think just being aware that they're out there is like one big step. I honestly, until the Cadenhead kid was sentenced to 80 years in federal prison, and he's 18. Can you imagine? He's like,
so he's been doing it since probably 15 or 16 years old.
This kid has no life anymore.
I think there was an issue ahead of time. So it's kind of like, did we get it to the point before he got much worse? Because I could see him being
way worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize how extensive this problem was. And then when the Redditor posted that something had happened to them on Discord, it was like, oh my goodness, this is a serious problem. Yeah,
and I think that there's a lot more of this kind of thing that goes on. I think that this is one of those taken to the nth degree kind of thing.
You think Cadenhead was the worst of the worst?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think there's much worse out there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that as far as dealing with the children and what they were doing, I mean, that's the thing, is that if you take the internet away, this stuff still occurs. It just occurs in smaller groups and smaller areas. This isn't anything new. It's just we're allowing it to kind of propagate faster.
What level does Discord hold some responsibility?
I think a lot. And the reason I say that is that it's multiple reasons. One, they do not have parental controls. So they do have controls where you can go into the server and say, sorry, not your server, but the settings. Because you don't have control over a server unless it's your server. But in your settings, you can say, I don't want to see bad words. I don't want to see things that might be labeled as graphic images or whatever. So you can go through and change all those. Those are set by the individual. So a kid can go back later and reset all those settings back because, I'm in this group and they want to show me this picture and I want to see it. Uncheck the box and you can see the stuff again.
Yeah.
So it's not like in Roblox where you say I'm under the age of 13 or whatever it is, and you get these whole set of controls that are attached to your account that blocks a lot of words, even if they don't even seem like they're offensive. It blocks all this stuff. And that if there's any communication, it goes through the parent's email as well. Mm-hmm. So you can go back and you can take a look. Discord doesn't have that. The other issue that I have is that just by saying the terms of service that you have to be a certain age to use Discord, until you have a method that proves that the person is that age, it's dumb. You can go to a website right now and sign up for Discord for free and not have to prove that you're over the age of 13. So even if you don't allow the app, if you block it, there's a ways around it. Like, kids are smart.
Yep.
They're going to find a way. If they want to get to Discord, they're going to find a way to do it. And since Discord's not doing anything on their end, I feel that a lot of this responsibility does fall on them. I'm not saying what has occurred, but very minor things they could be doing to look for content on these servers without reading the content. Mm-hmm. It's just like Google is looking at your email, right? They're not looking at the content of your email. They're just looking for keywords, and then they assign like a digit to that, like an anonymous number. And then they say, oh, you sent out an email that had the word fertilizer in it, so I'm going to start selling you ads for fertilizer. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Discord could be doing this.
Well, it's the same with this YouTube. Like, we've said words that YouTube doesn't like in our discussion, and there's going to be consequences for that.
Yep.
And we know that.
And we're accepting those consequences.
We're accepting the consequences.
So we know a system works, is what I'm saying.
So I think part of the problem, though, too, is that there's not, like with Snapchat, Snapchat, there's parental. Like, I have control over my daughter's Snapchat, where I can say who she has access to, who she doesn't. But Discord doesn't really give any of those kind of parental. And a 13-year-old is not going to understand being groomed.
Well, 15-year-olds, because we see the proof of this right here, that this wasn't just 13-year-olds.
Because you're feeling alone and sad, and here comes these people telling you what you want to hear. I mean, we're human. We're all going to be susceptible to that kind of grooming anyway.
Yeah.
And especially when you're at that age. I mean, it's just.
I mean, if you tell me I did a good job on something, I'll do anything you tell me to do.
I know. Yeah, you did such a good job. Now go mow the lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
Go rake up all the leaves. You notice how we're dressed today, too? You're like still summertime, and I'm like all like ready for fall. Yeah,
this is the only clean shirt I had.
He's like trying to hold on desperately to summer, and I'm like, bring on the sweaters.
I was making my coffee earlier, so it's just a uniform.
So how do these groups? How do they groom kids?
So I think the big thing is that they start off with this commonality, right? Which is the game. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that within certain games, there are certain communities that exist, and they kind of all behave kind of the same way.
So if you if the child gravitates to a certain type of game, so like Roblox is this like extensive billion-person game playing platform,
and there's hundreds of millions of
types of games. Yeah. So if a child is gravitating toward a certain type of game,
I was more referring to like the kids that play Roblox. So Roblox might be the one that's a little off, right? Because I think they're getting the people to go to their server on the games on these individual games. And I think that what they're doing is more of a phishing campaign. Oh. So they're casting a wide net and just getting any kid that kids come in, and they probably have like different rules for, like there's like a general tab, and then inside of Discord, you can create these private tabs that you can move people to based on membership. And I bet that's how they do it. So they start off with, they're weeding through the kids, finding out the ones that are susceptible.
And they're desensitizing.
And then they're with minor things. And then they get them to the first level, and there's probably levels and levels and levels.
Yeah, so if you see some kind of horrible abusive child abuse happening and you don't say anything, then you pass that test and you move on to
I don't even think it goes to that degree. I think the first level is probably mild racist stuff or like words that are said, that like if I'm talking to somebody and I just say, oh yeah, I think you should stab them. And, oh no, I was just joking, no big deal. But if the person responds in a different way, then it's like, oh, well, maybe this kid is able to get to that next level. And that's part of it, is that if you are starting off with the grooming, man, I sound like a freaking, sexual predator here. But if you get past that first stage, then you could get them to the second and third and fourth.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I know all this is because I know how Discord works. And because I've got my own Discord server for playing video games, and there are certain channels in there that are blocked, and it's mainly because I just don't want to talk to some people. That's for me, it's the main reason.
Mm-hmm.
I have my core group that I want to actually talk to, and they're the only ones that have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be real easy for Discord, on a Discord server, to set up these Dante's circles of hell, if you kind of want to put it into that degree, where you got to get past these rings, and there's probably hundreds of kids that are only on the first ring that never got to the second one because they're not responding the way that they would hope.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, that's disgusting. It's
But
like,
that's
okay,
how
you stay out of there.
That's how all cults
Yep.
work. So that's interesting. Like as you get closer to the leader and their central lieutenants, that's when things get the most abusive. So
Right.
they have like the exterior rings where people are like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Just
And
mild racism.
yeah. And then as you get closer to the main cult leader,
Right.
and I'm just going to say Cadenhead, because since he was convicted for 80 years,
Yeah.
and he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yep.
I'm still baffled by that.
Can you imagine being the parents?
I have no words. Like
With his
You're
name,
s-
he feels like he's kind of an upper crust kind of kid.
an upper crust Dallas. I don't know if he's from Dallas. I'm just saying that. I'm just making shit up. But like some Dallas kid,
Prep.
parents.
Yeah.
Parents are super Christian Republican.
Yeah. Private school kind of kid.
Private school.
He just, and I don't want to like look
you
bad
got to
on.
see him though. Have you seen him?
No.
Okay, let me show. They're trying to frame it that he was bullied and so he started this cult. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
Trying to find an excuse for it.
Yeah, they're trying to find an excuse for it. He was deliberately manipulating people. He figured out that key to unlock people's brains, and when you're young like that, you're susceptible.
Well, and it's also the idea that these spin-off lieutenants that started these other
They learned from him, right?
they learned from him.
They learned from him.
And that they were, pushing neo-Nazi, desensitizing child soldiers, basically, is what they were doing. And so bullying doesn't get to that level.
No, it's not bullying. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's just the way the media whitewashes this kind of
Well, I
behavior.
think maybe that's coming from the lawyers too, that they're trying to show that, like, look, he was bullied his whole life and he was just reaching, reacting and he was angry or whatever. And I think that's where it's coming from. So they just are spouting off
what the lawyers say.
Yeah, and they have to. I mean, they can't, it's one of the issues that I have with media in general is that people say like, oh, why aren't they commenting? It's like, well, that's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be reporting what was said. So that's it. That's all they can go by. They can't,
And that was before he was actually convicted.
Yeah.
Where his crimes are out there. I mean, you can get a FOIA.
I don't even
and
think you
really
need.
see.
Don't even think you need that. I think I think most of the information is going to be out there by this point.
Well, it's federal court, so federal court's a little bit
that's
different
right.
than
Oh, that's right,
state
because
courts.
he did this over state lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
And
he's
he's
a
gonna be
smart kid.
he's gonna be in federal. He's gonna be in the P Diddy prison.
Yeah.
Like that's where he's going.
Interesting.
Yeah, almost similar crimes.
Maybe him and P. Diddy will start a new cult together.
Yeah, so Sean Puffy Combs doing the same exact thing from a very early age. I think like as soon as he started getting famous, he started doing this.
Well, R. Kelly is the same way.
And R. Kelly.
Yeah, R. Kelly, yeah.
Keith Raniere, and now this Bradley Cadenhead.
Right.
And so like your question was, what if that was your kid? I don't know. Like it's just so weird. Like what if your kid is a cult leader and committing crimes in a cult leader?
I'm only laughing at the fact of just thinking of one of our kids as a cult leader.
Yeah. And you'd be
the
like,
cult of fluffy animals. Is that a cult?
just would be so strange
Yeah.
for them to exploit, blackmail, and lure kids and get them to do things on
And one of the things I always talk about is that you can't have a cult in a vacuum, that power has to be given to the people for a cult to exist or a cult leader to gain power. And it's the same thing here, is that if you want to stop something like this, you have to take away the power of the cult leader, which in this case is the shame so that a child could be manipulated. If you can take away that shame, then you can take away a lot. Now, I'm not saying all. I don't like talking in absolutes when I talk about cults. But with something like this, I can see where a kid would want to go there and like make fun of like other people, right? Like if I'm feeling down and I'm feeling insecure and they're showing like, hey, look at this stupid idiot that hurt himself, you know, be like, oh, that's all funny. Ha ha ha. And then the next one is worse, you know? And then it's like, oh, well, these are my friends. I can join with them. I can make fun with them. This is what I'm missing in the real world.
Right. And you can see our son who is on the autism
especially
spectrum,
a couple of years ago.
Right, who didn't have any friends, who was getting bullied pretty.
And then that's
pretty
why
badly.
he started quoting Andrew Tate at the dinner table.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. We even like had a conversation with him. Like, remember you were quoting Andrew Tate? He's like, yeah, because I was getting bullied at school. And he realized why he was drawn to Andrew Tate. But I could see him getting more and more caught up into. I think at one point he would probably stop though.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would ever come to us because he doesn't really have the vocabulary.
Yeah. And he also is insecure enough that he thinks he's doing something wrong when he's coming to us talking about things as well. So it's hard for us, and we know this stuff. We know this stuff exists out there. And
we talk to our kids about it all the time.
All the time. Yeah. I honestly feel like we are telling them how to start a cult, which I'm a little worried about that now.
We're telling them how to unlock the brain.
Yeah.
Keys to unlocking the brain. And they're like, I'm going to use that.
Now, whatever you do, don't use coercive control. Now, let me explain how you do that.
Let me explain coercive control to you. Oh, my goodness. It's so hard. So, like, one of the things the FBI says in the press release.
Oh, this list is so hilarious.
To look for the warning signs regarding self-harm or suicide, it says sudden behavior changes from such as becoming withdrawn, moody, or irritable.
So teenager.
Every teenager. Sudden changes in appearance, especially neglect of appearance, which is
a teenager.
Summer vacation, teenager. God, getting her to take a shower, getting both of them
to
take a shower during summer vacation was so hard. Changes in eating or sleeping habits.
Teenager.
I mean, okay, so we had a hurricane hit us. School was canceled. And then we just had a chemical explosion where
chemical fire. Chlorine. We had chlorine gas outside of our house. Like you couldn't see the trees because the chlorine gas was so high.
In the last 5 days. And so kids were out of school and
in and out, and then coughing and breathing issues. Yeah.
And they're like, they're going to sleep at 1:00 in the morning and, you know.
We're yelling at our kids at midnight, go to bed.
Stop eating. Yeah, changing the eating habits. They're like, I have a midnight snack. You know, that's teenagers dropping out of activities, becoming more isolated and withdrawn.
Now, if our son stops eating, that would be a big deal.
That would be a big deal.
Then that would be a warning sign.
Yeah.
Because he eats freaking everything constantly. So.
But dropping out of activities, I mean, like.
That's both of our kids?
Both of our kids do that all the time. They're just like me. I start something, I get bored and I drop it and I start something new. Scars often in patterns. So that was another thing.
Scars and patterns is the one that, that's a.
Cadenhead was getting people to carve his name in their skin.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah.
Wearing long sleeves or pants in hot weather. And our daughter does this.
And our son.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
And we're just like, can you please put on some shorts? No, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like, then what are you supposed to do?
But she wears shorts and tank tops all around the house. It's just leaving
Going
the
outside.
house.
Yeah.
She won't. She wears.
I think the big thing isn't so much that they're wearing it. It's that they're unwilling to expose their skin to you, like an arm or something like that. I think that's the distinction. But not just wearing, like, seriously, like, fashion trends are weird, and I don't understand them. But like, the new fashion trend from TikTok is to wear big, puffy, long sleeve shirts or long sleeve in the summer. You know, that's probably going to be a trend. So like, you can't just go, oh, that's a warning sign. But I think it's the addition of all of this stuff. It's like, you just can't take one or two. But I mean, 90% of this are kids.
I know, it's so
Kids
hard.
have-
They're teenagers. They're a mess, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one was
Hormonal wrecks.
hormonal wrecks. Last one is threatening to commit suicide and openly talking about death, not being wanted or needed, or not being around.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a tough one too, because like, I think all kids feel like they don't want to be around, right? They have that feeling of
Not belonging.
not belonging.
They haven't found their people. And even if they have, so if you take our daughter, for instance, she's found her people. But she talks about death as well and not belonging. And then the next day she's fine. And she's fine for 3 or 4 weeks. And then she just has bad days. And what we try to express to her is about impulse control. And because if you aren't feeling good about yourself and you lack impulse control, that's when the bad things can really happen. So that list it's an unusual list. And I mean, yes, these are warning signs, but it's the same reason too that you get like pray away camps as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you changed your behavior. You are different. Let's get you into therapy right now.
Send you to one of those horrible camps where your life is even ruined more.
Right.
I don't know. Having teenagers is really tough. And then now we have to deal with this Discord shit on top of it. It's like, I didn't sign up for this. But I kind of
You did.
did. I kind of did. Oh, this is so hard being a parent of 2 teenagers.
And, you know, I mean, it was so much easier in the past, you know, you would have 50 of them and only 2 would survive. And
Yeah. I was never, being a parent in any age.
so you would just never care about your kids at all and be like, oh, well, you're 14, time to go off to the war, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Time to get married if you're a girl.
Yeah.
Sure. Our daughter would be married by now.
That's a scary thought.
I know, right? That's a horrible thought.
For the husband.
Terrible. For a daughter.
I'm really trying hard to find some humor in all of this. I really am, because it's horrific and it's really scary.
It's terrifying.
And there is no simple answer, and there's really no complicated answer other than do what you can.
Yeah. So, I mean, the long-term psychological, a child getting caught up in one of these Discord servers, I think is pretty great.
What do you mean that, like, there's going to be a big psychological problem with kids that go through these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're going to feel guilty because of whatever they perpetrated on someone else. They're going to feel stupid because they fell for it. Mm-hmm. They didn't realize they were falling for a cult. They're going to go through the depression. They're going to go through, I mean, the coming out of a cult it's not easy work. It's going to be a
lifetime change.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot. So it's better if we could prevent it from happening. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
After
so let me ask this question: do we know how many kids were victims of this? Because I'm hearing 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 there. Is this one of those that there was only 20 or so kids in that inner circle of the,
I don't even think the FBI probably knows how many victims he has. Mm-hmm. It's probably hard to track down. They call him a satanic cult in one, but I don't know.
I've also seen neo-Nazi satanic cult, which I think is a weird thing as well. I think they were using iconography that would shock and yeah.
I think it's all about shocking. It's all about pushing boundaries. And that's another problem too, is that when you're that age,
you're pushing boundaries.
You're pushing the boundaries, but They were pushing boundaries way too far.
Yeah.
Way too far.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many victims there are, but this long-term psychological impact that type of group would have.
Yeah, they're going to be in therapy for a while.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I really do feel bad for the kids and the parents that have to go through this stuff.
I would say look at the FBI press release from last year. It'll be linked down below, and see how you could protect your children. I think really having open and honest conversations is probably the best way.
And then that's the thing too, is that even through the conversations, those can get iffy as well. Because we ask our son stuff all the time, and then his answer is, "Well, I'm not wanted,"
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just joking with you." I'm like, oh, "You got to stop with this joking." So his whole thing is joking about, but it's not the only thing he jokes about. He tries to tell a joke about everything, because I don't know where he gets that from either. Must be your side of the family.
Yeah.
But like even the conversations we have, it's just like the stuff that he says is all warning signs. But then you really ask him and he's like, "No, like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't mean that way at all." I'm like, "Oh."
I know. Well, and that's the problem I
Smalls.
had with the parents that were arrested in Michigan for the son for the school shooting. They said, "Oh, he was just joking. He would never do that." And having kids that do off-color jokes, it's like I could see falling for that.
Right.
Like, "Oh yeah, he's just joking."
But in that circumstance, that if our son is joking about,
We're not going to buy him a gun.
we're not going to buy him a gun.
Yeah.
That's the big difference.
Yeah. So the FBI says monitor children's online activity.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, so hard. Use discretion when posting images, videos, and personal content. Again, this is you, not the kids. We have a conversation with the kids not to do that, but
okay,
they're young and stupid. Run frequent online searches of you and your children's information.
Whatever. That's not gonna. You're not gonna find anything. Just to let you know. If this is happening, you're not gonna find it.
Not in it. You're not gonna find out if they've joined a Discord cult. Apply privacy settings on social media accounts. Again, Discord doesn't have that.
Doesn't have it.
Consider using reverse image search engines to locate any photos or videos without your knowledge.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Take a picture of your kid and do reverse image search and see what it comes up with.
Yeah.
Again, it's not going to find anything on Discord.
Exercise caution when accepting friend requests. Again.
Oh, this is the stuff you're supposed to. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, same thing.
Yeah. Do not provide any unknown or unfamiliar individuals with money or other items of value.
Well, that's easy.
We got no money. Secure social media and other online accounts. Research the privacy data sharing. Again, this is not for how to protect your kids. I think really the biggest...
This is like boilerplate stuff that it would not have done any difference for the Discord.
I think you can monitor all day long, and kids are going to have secret phones and secret accounts and secret Snapchats. That's just how it is. It's just a matter of having open and honest conversations with kids.
And a perfect example of that is that, like, so every so often I'll get on the Discord and like play a game with our son, and I'm like, "Oh, you're not online." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I created a new account because I forgot my password." And I'm like, "All right, well, that blows all of anything that I could have done to prevent that from going away." There really does need to be like another Discord app or something like that installs and is locked, like cannot get changed, cannot re-log in. And if they log out, that's it. They can't log back into it again.
Hey, Roblox is like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Roblox, it's really hard to create an account, even though they did create a new Roblox account too. But they didn't get all their Robux because of that.
Yeah.
As dumb as kids act, they also are really smart on bypassing systems. So that was actually one of my jobs, like 10, 15 years ago, was setting up these blocking systems, especially for the Arabic families, the ones from there. And because they had these like really heavy systems in place. And so I would install these systems on all of the devices and have to set it up. And it was much more complicated back then. It's actually easier now for parental controls than it was back then. And I watched those kids literally do 2 steps to bypass the filter right in front of me because they didn't care about me.
Yeah.
You know, and what am I going to do? Tell on them, you know, like, so they would literally like go click, click, click and bypass it and just be done. And it's like, yeah, I just spent 10 hours setting this up and they bypassed it in 2 clicks. You know, I'm like, so
you can't.
Yeah, you can't. It's, you can do what you can, but you're never going to get 100%. Just putting that out there.
So my thinking is just have the conversation and know these dangers are out there. Just being aware of them and how dangerous they are and how scary they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't say beat on it like constantly. Just let them know that there are scary people out there. Like talk to them about these kind of things and like where this could lead.
I think a lot of parents assume that it's going to be like some scary 50-year-old that is on these discords. But
well, we've even said to our daughter, how old is this person you're talking to?
Exactly. And
because we thought like, oh, that's never going to happen, you know.
But Caden he started when he was 15 doing this crap.
So that would have been in our range of
acceptable ages.
Yeah.
So can't you imagine? It just blows my mind. He's 15 years old and he's doing these horrible things to other children. And now he's going to spend the rest of his life in federal prison.
Yeah. Unless he gets out early, but let's just assume he's not.
Him and Keith Raniere can start their own cult in the federal prison.
They'll solder each other's names onto each other.
Yeah. All right. I have no last minute comments. This is just scary. Keep aware of it. And because as much as you try and the more you lock down things, the more kids find ways to. And
actually, the more you lock them down, the more you push them away. And you're just that overreacting parent that then they go and find someone that
then they reach out to somebody. Yeah. And
so whatever you do is wrong. Just keep that in your mind. Everything you do as a parent is wrong.
And that's probably what Bradley Cadenhead's parents are saying too. It's they tried the best and then they created a monster.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? We created a monster. Like I don't know what I would do if I had created a monster. Like such a weird situation to be in.
It is. I also wonder how our kid got to that point because of how they are right now. They're too lazy to do something like this. This requires work. They're just so lazy. I'd be like, why? Seriously, like you didn't even want to go out for a walk, but yeah, you created a cult.
In your spare time. What spare time did you create this cult? I don't know. Just be aware it's out there. I didn't realize this was a thing, but we're seeing, well, I think since the pandemic, but even before the pandemic.
I think we assumed something like this could have happened. We assumed that, but we just never, like I always thought that if this was going to happen, it would be like a very small group of people. And I still feel that way. I'm really curious to know the real numbers, but we'll probably never know. But it feels to me that the people that really got to that nth level, that they were total indoctrinated, probably wasn't as big as, if it's 1, it's bad. Like, I don't want to go, oh, it was only 10. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal.
But this is how we get radicalization.
Agreed.
So these little violent Discord groups that are perpetuating cultic abuse, and then that's the radicalization. And
then you get these splinter groups too, and that's what
that are even more radicalized, that are handing out poison candy to Jewish kids on Christmas, you know? I mean, you just end up with crazies.
Yeah. Dressed as Santa.
Like, that's a weird story. And I can imagine that kid starting out in these Discord servers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have anything either, but just Just talk to your kids. I mean, that's all I
Talk
can.
to them about
That's
Andrew.
it.
Andrew Tate, Caden Head,
They're all the same.
Keith Raniere, all the same.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Think for yourself. Don't be